This is your energy recording for the week of May 4th for the days 1 through 6 of the hexagram. We're following the hexagrams along here to get more insight into the I Ching, Gene Keys, human design of everything. This weekly guide will give you that greater insight into understanding how to integrate these energies, which is why I'm doing this. So follow along. I hope you enjoy it. This will not be in video form. This will be in audio form. So no matter if you're watching this on YouTube or just practically listening, or if you are listening to this on the podcast, it really doesn't matter. Every time I do this for the week, I'm going to do this in audio form because it's just so much simpler for me to get them all out that way. Okay, so we are really focused this week on the energy of, in the I Ching, they call it receptive energy. It is earth over earth, yin, yin, yin over yin, yin, yin. All feminine yin energy. So it is divine feminine energy. When we experienced the Big Bang or the implosion or the explosion, that was the Big Bang, right? When the all became the everything. We went when the source of all of this imploded amongst itself or exploded outward and went from 1, 2, 3, 4 to everything. The first split it made was feminine and masculine. Okay, so yin and yang. So it goes from being all to the first divide being the yin and the yang, the darkness and the light, the male and the female, the masculine and the feminine. These two primordial energies run everything. They are the next down. So there are yin days and there are yang days. This is why we're doing this, because we want to fit into these days. And if you think of these days as breath, if you think of these days as like ones and zeros in a binaural code, we're going to learn how to ride the momentum of the yin yang through the gene keys, I Ching, and human design based on the sun's location to get a better understanding of where we are in time. And I find this so appropriate because this first gate called receptive is all about divine feminine energy and where we are within time, space as a collective and as an individual. So how I'm going to do this is as we go through the week, we're going to be going through the 6 days of the week, not 7, 6, because it fits with the 6 degrees that the sun moves in astrology in this I Ching Gene Keys idea with the 6 lines. You will know what I'm talking about because there is something that is going to be posted this week about I Ching that I am posting, all about time in the I Ching. So you should watch that. You should also follow my new calendar. You just subscribe to the calendar. You can look at it anytime you want. It's a Google Calendar. It's free. It's if you subscribe to the blog. It has the daily astrology. And so you will have an insight on all of this information. As you learn about each day, you get what day it is within the lines of the I Ching, Gene Keys, and human design, and how to move throughout that day. So much insight is in there. So let's get going with this. I'm going to dive right in, and then you'll know what I mean when I finish all of this, especially when I get the I Ching video out, because I'll be doing these every week now. You'll be hearing from me more often. So there's a monthly, a weekly, and then you use the calendar for the daily astrology, human design, Gene Keys, all the energy. Okay. So this is going to be, we're going to talk about the Gene Keys first. This is connected to the Gene Keys number 2, which is all about returning to the 1. All right. And this is connected to the gate 8 as well. Gate 8 is all about authenticity and style. And the fun part about this is that it comes up at the end of the week. We experience that gate this month. But for right now, we're going to talk about Gene Keys. Returning to the 1. Now, the shadow in this experience that we're having this week is all about dislocation, okay? There's a collective fear that we are going to destroy ourselves as individuals before we reach some sort of pinnacle of our evolution, okay? And we see it every day. We think we're going to destroy the planet first, that we're going to decline as a species, that all of these things, calamities are going to happen to rip us off the planet before we reach something. And that's not true. And it actually shows up individually by being afraid that you'll never actually achieve your dreams. And it's all connected to this idea of being in the right time and the right place to actually experience the momentum that is the current of the manifestation that you want to be a part of. knowing that you are in the right time, in the right place is imperative to reach those goals, right? And there is this driving force within each of us to get somewhere. And when we are in the shadow of this energy, we can just feel absolutely lost. So let's talk about that. So there's this idea that each of us are evolving at our own time and our own place, okay? And this idea that we could be in the wrong time in the wrong place diminishes the value of the synchronicity, the magic, and the absolute perfection of the universe and the order and pattern designed within, and puts us as individual beings, these small specks that we are, at the forefront. To imagine that we could be in the wrong time in the wrong place is almost silly when all of these other forces are at place pushing us along, and really our goal and job is to surrender, because we cannot control, we have no will, we have no control over how things turn out or what even happens, right? We only have control of how we respond to what happens. But within this place of all of this stuff happening, there is a time and then there is a space that we have to know that we are locked onto to actually get the most fruit from. Each of us are evolving at our own pace and our own time, and that evolutionary grasp is focused on your awareness. Your frequency, aka the resonance of your being, is absolutely based on this state of awareness. Let's talk about evolution for a second. So initially, each of us started life as a single-celled organism. So I want you to remember that, like, each of us have been everything in reality and existence and have been here since the beginning, okay? And we all were a single-celled organism at the bottom of the ocean or the firmament, seeking the light after separation, trying to get back to this light. Say you saw a speck of light as a plasmoid, cytokine, whatever these single-celled seaweed organisms are. You saw the light, you stretched toward that light, and with your stretching towards that light, you were actually doing what you were meant to do the whole time, which was evolve. We are just trying to get back to the light. That is what they say evolution is. But you have to know that's what you're doing. When you were a single-celled organism, you were doing this without even thinking about it. You were trying to evolve and you didn't even know why. You never stopped to contemplate why you were going towards the light. But now that you have awareness, you could hem and haw about something your whole life and never get to the light, right? So like this level of animalistic magnetic drive, that's what this gene key is about, that gets you there irregardless. You get knocked, kicked, dragged there if necessary. You could be there and not recognize that you are there, but you get there through the universe because that's the current that's taking you. That idea, based on and partnering it with your awareness, knowing you are there, is the magic juice of manifestation. But this idea that you have always been trying to evolve, and we are now, as a collective, reaching the next state of evolvement. We are trying to do more than just survive, right? We are trying to be light beings, light bodies. As we head towards this next state of awareness, we are seeking that oneness again as we become greater, more advanced, wise beings. Now, for a minute, we could all agree that humanity does seem like it's going into a giant shithole and that things aren't working out exactly as we would expect them to, right? And I think we could easily all openly admit that here, right? But let's be real for a second. This idea of this gene key, if you overlook, if you underlook the shadow and you stay in this place where you think everything is wrong, humanity is wrong, our president is wrong, our state of awareness right now is wrong, the way everyone is fighting is wrong, you have to remember that both the dark and the light exist, and that has nothing to do with good and bad. That has to do with movement and evolution, and that true warriors are built in times of strife. And only then can you actually build a warrior. If you never have a warrior who's never gone to battle, then you ain't got no warrior. You got someone who playing fighting. They don't know how to fight, okay? To only truly fight as a warrior, you have to be in a battle. And that battle, that's really important right now, okay? So Where would the warrior be without the storyline? That's a question that we're all going to have to collectively ask ourselves right now as we look out for the next 6 days and because this is all inward energy and we have no actions to take. It's something I just want you to think about. There's a Tao quote about Taoism, a Taoism quote that says that a bad man makes a good man. A bad man is a good man's challenge. A good man is a bad man's teacher. And you need both. And to truly exist in a state of oneness is to recognize that both are necessary for growth and evolution to teach. And this idea that we could destroy ourselves is kind of like the exact point. We are supposed to be here wondering if it's even possible. If you are feeling lost right now and that you don't know if you're doing all the right things, that fear is the second shadow. And I want to tell you that if you have never, the only way you can get to something, the only way you can be something, you have to experience what you are not the most. So if you are experiencing lostness, you have to have the experience of that to know the experience of finding. Because if you're not lost ever, then you don't ever know when you've been found. It's like if you don't know the absence of love, how do you know love? If you don't know being lost, how do you know this amazing feeling of finding something finally? And you know it so well because you know what it's not so well. So it's like being able to refine an idea based on all the things you know that it is not. And the key here to know and to be aware of where you are in this time, space idea, because remember, you are there even if you don't know it. The key is to be aware of it, is to make choices that feed you and fuel you and empower you instead of ones that drain you, diminish you, and disempower you. Only then can you ever really experience the juiciness of time and space. But being in this space where you are uncomfortable, I need you to remember this week that it's absolutely necessary. Okay? And I want you to remember it's divine to know what something is not. You have no control over alignment in your life with your dreams. You only have the ability to surrender and to have inner honesty that allows the fear of never knowing to exist without the judgment. Because you know that if you know that being lost is where you're supposed to be, then you automatically found yourself. That's one of the shifts for this enlightenment. The awareness happens when you surrender to being lost and allow yourself to be fully immersed in the lost experience with all of your senses, which instinctively open up your awareness in the right time, and you become a master at being lost or out of alignment. So then you will become a master at knowing when you found something. And that is where the shift happens, okay? Now, if you are living in this shadow and this fear, it shows up in two ways. You either feel completely out of alignment with the true universal destiny, and I want to read this to you, or you feel too regimented. So let's start with feeling out of alignment. So the two paths. So the repressive nature aptly describes the path of materialism and selfishness, which follows its own path without regard to the greater environment. Our true destiny is to awaken out of our selfishness to our universality. Those who, with no sense of the spiritual dimension to life, inhabit this state of being lost, and the byproduct of being lost is misery and suffering. Without the experience of a direct connection to the greater cosmic forces, one has nothing within to bolster one in dealing with life's trials. Life itself seems to have no purpose. Without a cosmic connection within one's being, one will always flounder in the world. The reactive nature here is being too regimented. The reverse pole of this shadow is the enforcement of the external rhythm of structure over the top of life. This stems from deep anger that has never been resolved. Regimentation actually describes many of the world's great religions, which put themselves between an individual and their direct experience of the divine. Regimentation can also describe science, which attempts to organize life into some form of meaningful and logical framework. Anything that tries to control life and pin it down emerges from the reactive side of the second shadow. None of this is to say that religion and science are wrong, except when they serve to obscure the hidden harmony that lies within an individual. The true meaning and purpose of life is only to be found within one's heart, in the mystical experience of moving in perfect synchronization with all that is. So if you try to control down life and pin it down, it will pin you down. That's what they're talking about here. Okay, so the gift here is orientation. And you can experience this in either one of two ways. You either need a shift in awareness that affects your actions, or you need a shift in action, which catalyzes a shift in awareness. Synchronicities naturally flow out of this yin principle. So this energy, you don't have to look for synchronicity, right? You don't have to look for the magic. You don't have to look for the solution. You don't have to look for the answer. You don't have to look for the goalpost. Your entire job is to shift your awareness or to shift your actions to allow that natural flow to occur. And it's really about you getting out of the way. And this yin energy principle is really important because for the next 6 days, we're going to be steeped in this yin energy. And actually, what I think you need to understand here is as we go on this journey together of you learning about your energy daily, and there are yin days and there are yang days, and you will notice that in this calendar that you subscribe to, we actually have 12 yin days coming up before we have a yang day. And I want to go into what yin means so that you understand what this energy that you're going to be feeling is like as one of the foundational energies that everything else is kind of encompassed with. So, I want to talk about this. So yin is receptive, it's infinite, it's holding, it's still, it's quiet, it's a mirror, it's a downward spiral. On yin days, we receive, we are antennas, we tune ourselves to the field, aka meditation. A really good day to just listen, downloads, aha moments, inspiration. All right. On yang days or yang days, we express, we deliver, we project, we emanate, we think, we plan, we pray, we project out and manifest out. Okay. And it's like the tide that moves things in and out. It's like the full moon and the, which would be a yang energy. And you'll notice that again in the calendar. And then this yin energy, which is the new moon. So it's this, think of it as like sucking or inhale. So imagine this energy that we're going to be steeped in for 12 days being one giant inhale. And then we get one yang day. And then we have one little gasp of air, just like, then we breathe in 2 more times of yin energy, and then we have another yang energy, and it's a little bit more evened out. But it's a lot of almost like collapsing in oneself, going in oneself. That's what this energy means. On yin days, I like to do quiet, contemplative, tedious work. I take long baths. I move slower. I allow the creative force of the field to fully hold me and surrender to the current. Okay. So it's a lot of working with the earth on those days. It's a lot of listening on those days. It's not a lot of action. And you feel it in the energy. You don't feel like acting. You feel too kerfuffled to act. It almost feels too dreamy or hazy on a yin day. But on those yang days, it's setting you up to act. So again, I'm going to say yin is breathing in, yang is breathing out. So we're going to be breathing in without coming up for air for 12 days. Remember this, it's going to be a lot of receptive time. And why? What's the point? Why are we doing this? Because we got to go back to this gift, which is all about orientation. All right. The deep is trying to get something from you. Remember I said that gate 2 is connected to the gate of receptivity. It's connected to gate 8, which is the gate of style. The gate of flair. the gate of je ne sais quoi, the gate of I've got my own identity, the things that I create, the things that I do, nobody else can do them like that, is absolutely connected to this gate of receptivity, this yin energy, which is connected to this intensely magnetic portion of your energy. It's literally the minerals in your body that act as magnets that draw you to your destiny. All right. So if you think of a bird knowing how to go north, we have that information in our pineal glands as well. And this is the magnetic guidance system that resides in all of us. It comes to life when we seek to, remember, be lost in this energy, when you surrender to it. And you either shift your awareness or you shift your actions to shift your awareness. You surrender to being found where you were once lost. And how do you surrender? So there's this level of knowing how to give in to this current and accept being tossed about a little bit, because you have to remember that if this universe primordial field, this yin 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 field of divine femininity, is to be able to fully encompass you, to be able to be fully accepted by it, you have to be all of it, right? And that is back to this idea that we're all one thing. So the Siddhi here, the evolutionary point that happens when you exist within orientation, when you find your way and you go with this current and this flow, you end up remembering that you're just one of everything. You're the drop in the ocean. The ocean ain't trying to discard portions of its water. It wants all of its water to move and flow with it. It wants it all to succeed. It wants it all to have the same amount of opportunity as the other parts. You are part of all of it. So, of course, your success is actually written into the blueprint of it in the beginning. It was always there, okay? So now let's cover the human design of the situation for the week. So this week, we're going to be really focused in our G center. Why is that? Because remember I talked about that magnepole, and there are crystals in your pineal gland that literally draw you north and are there to guide you toward your dreams. But this is also connected to this gate of self-authority and human design, this center within you that we have to talk about next, because we call this one of the keys, all right? So this is the gate of the direction of the self, and it's all about the vision, the director or the driver. The G center that connects to the throat center, and it's a lot of throat energy this week. We have a lot of throat center connected human design situations happening as the weeks roll through in May. So we'll talk about those. But right now, before we get to the throat center of proclaiming your identity via your voice, you have to know who you are via your magnitude of your G center. It's connected to your decision making. You're designed to be guided in your decisions by what makes you feel like you, brings you enjoyment and pleasure. Ask yourself these questions. Will this make me happy? Will this give me self-expression? Am I headed in the right direction for me? If you discuss these with other people, ensure that when you ask these questions to other people about yourself, it's only so that you can hear yourself describe it to other people so that you have more clarity. It really isn't about the insight from the other. How you describe what you're trying to fulfill to someone else has the ability to open up portals to more information. I'm just going to say that. So listen without thinking, though, and allow all of the information to come out without bias. If you have a defined G center, you need to know that from your human design. You can find that on the website. You can only hear your direction but when you listen to yourself explain it to others. So when I was talking about that, making sure when you tell others about it, that you're listening yourself. If you have a defined G center, the only way you're going to be able to hear it is if you do explain it. So be very intentional with that, okay? Now, this is really connected to our identity center. It establishes our identity as a direction through time and space. You hear that again. And it's all about our geometry, our energetic flow. It's connected to the flow of life and the universal force, and it pulls our life towards us, okay? Because the universe flows through us. It's all about the channel of the beat. We call it the keeper of the keys, the circuit of knowing. And the whole point of this is to be, the purpose is fulfilled through form, okay? That's the theme of civilization. Purpose fulfilled through form. Manifestation, taking something from thought to thing, okay? The driven is focused on movement, and the drive is focused on movement through, okay, sorry, I see what I'm going here. All right. Your higher self is the one who knows the map. The driver of the car, or the avatar, let's say that is your body, is focused on the movement through time and space. Gate number 2 is the key to the vehicle. It starts the engine for the driver. You cannot change directions through your mind or will. If others are not going this way, you may have to part ways with them, okay? You don't get to choose the direction that the driver goes in. This idea that you surrender to the force of movement that is calling you in that direction with confidence that it is your universal life flow doing what it's supposed to do. That's what it came here to do, okay? Now, because we are going over this from the idea of the hexagrams within the I Ching, those 6 lines, we have to remember that each day as we go through this energy, it's like we walk into this bubble of expression, and each line represents a state of that energy. In this case, if this bubble of this receptive gate 2 energy existed as a house, this energy of yin, 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 yin of the divine feminine, it would be the divine feminine house, okay? It would be, we are experiencing the exact same energy over and over and over and over again, opening and opening and opening and opening, drawing us deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into this like mystical force of the exact same type of energy. And that energy is going to last those 6 days, right? And line 1 is all about intuition, okay? So it's all about sensitivity to disharmony and atrophy. Again, you got to know what something is not to know what something is. It's the only way. On top of that, the importance of aesthetics, whether inborn or acquired. When you look at the calendar, we'll go more into that, but I wanted to take you that far because this is our first time doing it. Now let's talk about the I Ching of the week, the energy of the week, so that you have a better understanding of it from this direction. So the symbology of this is earth over earth. It's the power of the feminine, stillness as the greatest teacher, acceptance, honesty, clarity through concepts, and allowing. And it's time to concentrate on realities rather than potentials, okay? Our goal for the next 6 days will be to be as receptive as the ocean. Opening ourselves up is our primary concern. Patience is imperative. Broadness and deepness. Let go of all control. Receptive power arises through alignment with creative power, not in opposition to it. Okay, and this is all about our foundation. This foundational energy that we are trying to use throughout these 6 days. We're going to learn something here. We're going to get some information when we sit still that we're going to take with us through these next 6 days and evolve, okay? And it's all about stillness and devotion. I want you to remember that as you check in every single day with the calendar. Now, we will be dealing with, on May 4th, the first quarter moon in Leo. Now, if you were a part of the Moon Manifestors before and you were moon tracking with us, you were doing this in something called a graphic design document that I did not want to update anymore, and which is why I moved it to the calendar. So all moon tracking happens on the calendar too. And the thing you want to look back to is August 4th, because that was in 2024. That was the new moon in Leo. that this first quarter moon, well, you're going to kind of see where you are with this. It's a good place to check in. You're going to be checking in on those actions before that 9-month period happens again. So Leo is all about your creation. And I'm thinking this has got something to do with, because the sun is in Taurus right now, personal possessions, earth, beauty, abundance, how we view our comfort, how we feel nourished based on our earthly possessions, let's say. Connected to this moon in Leo, this first quarter moon, I think is talking about, are we expressing that inner desire outwardly? Do we see the comforts that we claim we desire? Leo is going to show us how we're creating in our actual reality, and we're supposed to be ruling our kingdom or our queendom. We're the lion, we're strength, we're courage. We are the rulers of our realities, right? So when you're ruling this reality, and the reality that you live in is based only on your thoughts, your actions, what you think and feel and do, right? Where are you emanating or believing your value and your comforts? How are you showing this to yourself in the world? How are you existing within this? What do you want is a question that I have to ask for you. What's going to make you feel like royalty in your own life? That's going to be a question for the week. And where are you, how can you receive more information that gives you a place to step into more of your strength, courage, determination as we head forward towards the next major energy in this initiation that we call the Hexagram series. And we're going to talk about that next week. That's all I have for you for the weekly report. To keep in touch daily, check out the calendar. You just have to subscribe. The best part about this is just your Google Calendar, right? So like all of your meetings are there if you use Google Calendar, and you can really get some insight on what that day will be like, to see how your meeting will go. And you can also just check in the afternoon to see how the tide turned out. You experiment with this and see where the energy is with you to learn and grow together. It's not about defining something, it's about exploring something. And I hope you explore this with me. So this is Candace with, of course, it's Miracles, A Course in Miracles. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.